At the beginning of the 20th century, the world looked modern and powerful. Industries were growing, cities were expanding, and technology was changing everyday life. Railways connected countries, factories produced massive goods, and nations believed they were entering a new age of progress. But behind this progress, danger was building. Europe was divided into powerful empires. The British Empire ruled over vast territories across the world. Germany was rising fast as a strong industrial and military power. France wanted security after past conflicts. Russia controlled huge lands but faced internal problems. Austria-Hungary was struggling with ethnic tensions inside its borders. Every major power feared the others. To protect themselves, nations formed alliances. Two major groups were created: the Triple Entente, Britain, France, and Russia. The Triple Alliance, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. These alliances were supposed to prevent war. Instead, they made it more dangerous. If one country went to war, its allies would follow automatically. At the same time, nationalism was rising. People strongly believed in their nation's power and identity. Militaries were growing stronger, and new weapons were being developed. Europe was peaceful on the surface, but extremely unstable underneath. And in the Balkans, a region full of political tension, the smallest spark could ignite everything. That spark was coming. On June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary arrived in Sarajevo. He was the heir to one of Europe's most powerful empires. But Sarajevo was a dangerous city politically. Many people there opposed Austro-Hungarian rule and wanted independence. Among them was a young man named Gavrilo Princip. Earlier that day, a strange sequence of events brought the Archduke's car directly in front of him. In a sudden moment, Princip fired 2 shots. The Archduke and his wife were killed instantly. The world was shocked. At first, it looked like a local incident. But behind the scenes, alliances began reacting. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia. Germany supported Austria-Hungary. Russia supported Serbia. France supported Russia. Britain watched closely. Tensions began rising across Europe. A small event was turning into something much bigger. After the assassination, Europe entered a dangerous period known as the July Crisis. Austria-Hungary sent strict demands to Serbia. Serbia refused to accept all conditions. As a result, Austria-Hungary declared war. Russia began mobilizing its army to support Serbia. Germany responded by declaring war on Russia and France. Germany also invaded Belgium, forcing Britain to enter the war. Within days, Europe collapsed into conflict. The alliance system turned a regional crisis into a global war. Millions of soldiers were now mobilizing. The world was at war. By August 1914, the war had officially begun. Germany launched the Schlieffen Plan, aiming to defeat France quickly before turning to Russia. German armies moved through Belgium and advanced into France at high speed. At first, the advance was successful. Cities fell, and Allied forces were pushed back. But resistance grew stronger than expected. The war was not ending quickly. Instead, it was becoming long and brutal. Both sides began digging trenches. A new kind of war had begun. As the war continued, both sides realized that quick victory was impossible. Soldiers dug long trench systems across Europe, stretching from the North Sea to the Swiss border. Life in the trenches was brutal. Mud, cold rain, disease, and constant shelling became normal. Soldiers lived with rats, limited food, and the constant fear of sudden attack. Every attempt to cross no man's land resulted in massive casualties. The war had turned into a deadly stalemate. World War I introduced terrifying new weapons. Machine guns could fire hundreds of bullets per minute. Heavy artillery destroyed entire areas. Poison gas caused panic and suffering. Tanks were introduced to break trench defenses, but were still in early development. War had become more deadly than ever before. Technology had changed warfare forever. The war was no longer limited to Europe. It spread across the world as colonies of European empires joined the conflict. Battles took place in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. The British Empire used its global reach to bring more troops into the war, turning it into a truly global conflict. No continent remained untouched. In 1917, the United States entered the war. German submarine attacks on merchant ships and political tensions pushed America into the conflict. Fresh American troops, weapons, and supplies gave the Allies a powerful advantage. The balance of war began to change. Germany now faced a stronger enemy than ever before. In 1918, Germany launched one last massive offensive, hoping to win the war before American forces fully arrived. At first, they made progress, breaking through Allied lines. But exhaustion, shortages, and growing Allied resistance slowed them down. The Allied forces, now stronger and better coordinated, began pushing back. Germany's advance collapsed. The war was turning against them. By late 1918, Germany could no longer continue fighting. Its armies were exhausted, its economy was collapsing, and its people were suffering. Inside Germany, political unrest grew. The government realized the war was lost. On November 11, 1918, an armistice was signed. At the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the fighting stopped. World War I had ended. But the cost was unimaginable. Millions of soldiers and civilians had died. Entire regions were destroyed. Empires collapsed, including the Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, German, and Russian empires. New countries were created, but the peace was fragile. The world had survived one of the deadliest wars in history, but the consequences would shape the future for decades. And from the ashes of World War I, a new conflict would eventually rise. The end.